Good evening, my brothers. Hook 'em horns, hook 'em horns. My Longhorns, we won 31 to 14. We had over 250 rushing yards. Quintravian Wisner had 160 plus rushing yards. Jaden Blue, he fumbled again. He fumbled again, but he averaged over 6 per carry and had like 97 rushing yards. So he was close to 100. The run game was spectacular. I can't even speak. Especially that last touchdown drive by Texas. All we did, because we couldn't trust Quinn for shit, we just gave the fucking ball to our running backs and just let the offensive line maul Kentucky and let our running backs do their thing. That last touchdown drive was a thing of beauty. We started from inside our own 10, I believe, and we just took it to them. Straight up SEC fucking smash mouth, run the football down your throat fucking football. It was a thing of beauty. One thing I don't understand, why isn't Steve Sarkisian taking out Quinn Ewers? Quinn Ewers, ever since he messed up his rib against, I forgot the team. But ever since he's been injury prone throughout his career at Texas. But ever since that game where he injured his rib, he's been shaky at best. His most impressive complete game was at Michigan, the second game of the season. I think he rolled his ankle today. There were times where he couldn't even roll with the pocket. He couldn't do anything. And then he fumbled a snap that, he couldn't get his hand on it. I'm just like, Quinn Ewers is injury prone and mentally fragile. You can see him breaking down mentally on the field. You can see it in real time. I don't know if he has a sports psychologist. If he doesn't, he needs to get one soon before he goes to the NFL. Because this young man is mentally weak, fragile, and he's physically fragile. He's always getting hurt out there. His accuracy with the deep ball just isn't there. Coach Sark doesn't trust him throwing the ball deep downfield. Of course, he has limited mobility. He's not a phenomenal athlete to begin with. And then he's getting hurt all the fucking time. Arch Manning, it's his team. I get you don't want to mess up the continuity of the team. If you're winning, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But we're in a situation where this is going to be, we may have to do put a Tua Tagovailoa in over Jalen Hurts in the championship game. This is looking like one of those things where, like, listen, man, when push comes to shove, when shit hits the fan, put Arch Manning in there. Put him in there. I remember that day like it was yesterday when Nick Saban took Jalen Hurts out of the game and put in Tua Tagovailoa. At first, I thought he was making a huge mistake because that's something you don't do. Like in the middle of a championship game, you take out your starter and you put in this guy who no one knows about. At that time, no one knew about Tua, except for maybe Crimson Tide fans. You put him in and damn, he dazzled. That's how he got into the NFL, man. We're going to have to pull one of those because Quinn Ewers simply doesn't have it anymore. And there are reports saying that if he's not a first-round draft pick or if he's not projected to be a first-round draft pick, he's going to come back to college. He can't come back here. He cannot come back here. I'm sorry, he cannot come back. He's been the starter since 2022. He hasn't really made any significant gains, like improving wise. The reason why he has such a high completion percentage is because he has a lot of high percentage throws within the offense. He swings out to the running backs. He has short slants and curls to our receivers. But other than that, like pushing the ball downfield, you cannot trust him to do that. You can't. You can't do it. And when there's some adversity within the game, or how should I say this? When the momentum shifts, you can see him breaking down mentally in real time. You can see it. Some players just fold under pressure. And this was at home. This was in Austin. And he was still doing it. He was still folding under pressure. I see so many quarterbacks get hurt within the game, or they play hurt, and they don't break down mentally like Quinn Ewers. He has the top 2 defense in the SEC, no, in college football. He has an incredible run game with Quintravian Wisner and Jaden Blue, even though he fucking fumbles all the time. You have one of the best coaches in college. You have one of the best offensive lines, and you're this mid. I don't know how he's going to do in the NFL. I don't think he's going to play well in the NFL. I don't think his skill set is going to translate well unless he's protected by the coach. Unless he gets another coach like Steve Sarkisian at the next level, I don't think he's going to do much in NFL. I think he's going to be a perennial backup. That's what he's going to be. And if he even thinks about coming back, hit the transfer portal. Hit the transfer portal. Go. We don't want you back here. It's Arch Manning's time. He needs to go. Stop being selfish. Stop trying to collect that NIL money. Get the fuck out of here. Go to the league. Go to the league. And if you don't want to go to the league, if you want to chicken out, you want to bitch out, go somewhere else. There's plenty of teams who want you there. You can't come back here. You are limiting us. This is the year, man. If you're a Longhorns fan, this is our year. We have everything. Everything. The run game, the offensive line, the defense, the coach, the talent. We have everything. And Quinn better not fuck this up. God damn it, man. Just seeing him out there, just being pathetic, just pisses me off, man. And don't let the stats fool you. You got to look with your eyes. What does your eyes tell you? What do your eyes tell you when you look at Quinn Ewers out there, brothers? What does your eyes say? He is mid at best. You got to look. You got to use the eye test, man. You can't go by the stats. You can't go by any of this shit. What do your eyes say? Look at the field. Look at the games. Look at it. He's pathetic. And he has to go after this season. I'm sorry. If he screws up a few times in the A&M game next week, that's going to be our biggest test, brothers. We got to go to fucking College Station and go against those fucking Aggies who we haven't seen in over a decade. And they're going to come after us hard, man. And we can't have Quinn fucking up out there. We can't do it. This is the year. And I swear, if you sniff any weakness from Quinn next week, pull him and put Arch Manning in the game. Put him in the game. Stop being a chicken shit, Sark. Just do it. Do it for all of us. We're all asking for it. Sorry about that, brothers. I haven't went off like that in quite some time because the Cowboys isn't giving me much. But these Longhorns, this is our chance, and I just don't want to see it squandered by a fucking mid-Quinn Ewers. Just don't want to see it happen. In other news, man, Kansas has been on a tear recently. They have beaten 3 straight top 25 opponents. They've beaten 3 opponents in a row that were ranked in the top 25. They beat Iowa State, BYU, and today they beat Colorado. They had over 331 yards rushing. They had 331 yards rushing. They just destroyed. They destroyed Colorado's front 7. It wasn't even close, man. Devin Neal had himself a game. Over 200 yards rushing. Dog, man. He had just as many. He had what? In total yardage, I think he had like 280 some yards total. That was damn near what Colorado had for the entire game. And it's not like Colorado's offense was bad or anything like that. It was just that they didn't have many opportunities because Kansas was just running the football down their goddamn throats. Kansas had over 500 total yards today, man. They scored on 7 of their 8 possessions today. And on the last possession, they just ran the clock out and took a knee. Brothers, the defense, Colorado's defense had nothing to stop Kansas and Devin Neal in that rushing attack. They had nothing. And this is Colorado reverted back to their old ways. When a team is built to run the football and they're committed to run the football and Colorado can't get an early lead on them, Colorado will fold because they don't have the personnel and they don't have the will to stop the run. They don't have it. And then when you see them go down, when you see them being out physical, they commit so many penalties, they become super emotional, they commit these boneheaded penalties, they shoot themselves in the foot when they face adversity. Like unnecessary roughness or taunting, and just stupid shit like that. They're one of the most penalized teams in college football already. They're an emotional team. When you see teams that are highly penalized, they're highly emotional. Or their coach doesn't put their foot down and teach the goddamn fundamentals. I would say that Colorado, for the most part, is fundamentally sound when it comes to penalties-wise. I'm not talking about team-wise or the way they're built-wise. I'm talking about penalty-wise. They're just a very emotional team. They take on the personality or persona of their head coach. And when things don't go their way, they pout. They want to hit back. They want to fight. They want to do all that shit. Show me on the field, motherfuckers. You allowed 331 yards rushing today. You allowed 500 total yards. You did. Instead of trying to fight on the sidelines, instead of trying to rough somebody up on the field after the play, how about you show me by stopping the goddamn run? How about that? Colorado reverted back to their old ways. They're not built for this. They better be glad they play in a lackadaisical Big 12. Them motherfuckers wouldn't survive in the SEC. I'm sorry, they wouldn't. They better be glad they don't have Arizona State on the schedule because Scatterbo, that running back for Arizona State, that white boy is cold as fuck, man. He is cold. He will run all over Colorado right now. They better be glad Arizona State is not on the goddamn schedule this year because they would run them off the fucking field. Colorado ought to be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen. This was absolutely pathetic. How do you win all of these games and then you go against Kansas? You know they like to run the football. You know they love to run the football. They've been on a tear recently. This was their 5th win. They were on 4 wins before today, but they beat Iowa State and they beat BYU. So you know they were coming hard. And then they were playing at Arrowhead Stadium, well, Gayha Field or whatever they call it now, in Kansas City. They're playing at the Chiefs Stadium today. So you know they're going to come out high. You know the fans are going to be hard for you. You know they're coming. And you put out a performance like that? Man. Colorado is going to be hard-pressed to make the Big 12 championship game. And to be quite honest, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. They don't. All these fraud wins they've had, when a team is built to run the football and they commit to run the football, they destroy Colorado. I wouldn't be surprised if Gordon, the running back for Oklahoma State, runs over them next week. I wouldn't be surprised. He'd probably have the game of his fucking career before he goes to the NFL. Running roughshod over Colorado next week. Brothers, this has been an outstanding weekend for college football. I've loved it. Indiana, man, the committee wasn't sold on them. People weren't sold on them. They were undefeated before today. Then this was their highest ranking, number 5. But the committee just wasn't sold on them. I wasn't sold on them either. Their schedule was pretty weak, pretty damn weak. I know you don't control who you play against, but it was weak. People weren't sold, and today Ohio State exposed the fuck out of them. And then you got Florida. That win against Florida a couple weeks ago, my Longhorns, when we beat, I know they didn't have their quarterback at the time, but you still dominated them. That win is looking pretty good because they came out and beat Ole Miss, number 9 Ole Miss today. So that win looks pretty damn good in my book. You know, a lot of people like to say that the Texas Longhorns haven't played anybody. Brothers, the SEC is the toughest conference in college football. Even the bottom feeders. And you can even hear the announcers today for the Texas-Kentucky game. They were like, the Big Ten doesn't have teams like this. The Big Ten's bottom is really, really bad. You look at the SEC's floor, their bottom, teams are still fucking competitive, man. Kentucky beat Tennessee. They beat Tennessee. They pushed Georgia to the brink. I mean, they were giving us a goddamn game. The SEC is just crazy, man. Best conference in football. I'm glad Texas is in there. I'm glad we're being dominant in that conference. We got one more game before the SEC championship game. A&M is going to be our toughest test. Those fans hate us. We fucking hate them. It's going to be rowdying and in College Station. It's going to be rowdy as fuck. If you sniff any weakness from Quinn Sark, pull his ass out and do the right thing and put in the Manning boy. He's the one. He is going to take us to the promised land if Quinn can't. He's the one.